So as soon as like I got into school, I started to make a lot more friends. I was kind of like a shiny new toy to everyone because not everyone comes in from America and just like randomly just join schools in India, right? I mean, there's a lot of different schools, and the one I went to, like, yes, there are a lot of NRIs that go to that school.
Hey guys, welcome to the Telugu Saga. Sai, how are you, man?
బాగున్నా బ్రో మంచి కిక్కిస్తుంది ఈ ఎపిసోడ్ న్యూ ఇయర్ I'm excited for what's ahead of us. How about you?
నువ్వు ఇందాక మెన్షన్ చేసినప్పుడు నాకు తెలిసింది న్యూ ఇయర్ లో ఫస్ట్ పాడ్కాస్ట్ ఇది.
Yeah.
సో యా బ్రో, అంటే ఏం చేస్తాం, వీకెండ్ వచ్చిందిగా, కొంచెం బ్రేక్, రిలాక్స్ అంతే. ఈస్ట్ వేర్ లో వాతావరణం ఎలా ఉంది?
And normally every day windy, man. It's pretty cold out here. It's colder than like Raleigh, man. I'm surprised. I like Raleigh's weather more than Cali, surprisingly. It's more subtle there. It's not drastic as where I live. But yeah, it's going. I'm glad I'm mostly indoors.
అంతేలే బ్రో, కాలిఫోర్నియా నుంచి బయటికి వెళ్ళాక అన్ని అక్కడే అలవాట్లే.
Seriously, yeah.
So I'm excited for today's podcast, man. Would you want to go ahead and introduce the topic in person for today?
తప్పకుండా బ్రో ఇవాళ టాపిక్ ఏంటిదంటే it's about adapting to different environments, especially in our crucial years of education. Today's guest started his education here in the States and has traveled back to India to study for a few years. Uh, and we're curious to find out how he managed to live there, how his view on education changed, and an overall experience. This person has been Rishal's best buddy since childhood. We were lucky enough to meet him in North Carolina a few months ago, and he was a wonderful person. He has been working at Bank of America as a developer in New York, currently staying with his parents. He loves basketball and every other very sports, so he's a very outdoorsy person. We're happy to have him here today. Please welcome Nishit.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good man.
Good. How are you, man?
Good, man. Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Glad you're doing good, man. So main question for today is, do you still remember the day you landed and imagined how your life was able to change? Like, walk us through that moment. Like, you went from the US to India. Walk us through that moment. What happened and what were your thoughts?
First of all, I was really upset going back because I finished, I believe it was seventh grade, and it was summer vacation, right? So like that school year is done, it's summer vacation, like you're like, all right, let's have some fun, let's go out, let's do some fun stuff, like bike around, act like hooligans. But then that wasn't my case. I had to go back to India, and you know how it's a little different. School starts in June in India, so like as soon as I got back, that next school year started, so I didn't get a break for that amount of period. I was mostly upset about that at first. I was losing my summer break. After I got there, I didn't join school right away. I took a couple of weeks till I joined. But like once I started, things were just completely different. It was eye opening, and it wasn't just me that had a hard time. Like my sister had a hard time as well, and she's older than me, so I can't imagine like how hard it was for her to adapt because I mean I wouldn't say young, but like I was fairly at an age where I could adapt to a new environment, considering like where I've been brought up and stuff like that. So yeah, it was completely different. It was scary. At the same time, it was exciting. I was like also excited for this new thing because I was like, India's like where I was born there. Parents are from there. I have cousins, family. Well, the first thing that was more like an obstacle was just like trying to communicate with anybody. Because I would talk to my cousins, and when I thought like when I like started speaking Telugu back then, it was completely different. Like I had the worst accent. Like you wouldn't be able to understand my Telugu. It was completely like it was just terrible, right? But over time, I think I've started to like fit in with the dialect. Telugu కొంచెం కొంచెం Indian లాగా మాట్లాడుతున్నా అంటే పక్క తెలంగాణ లాగా. So yeah, that was that. I couldn't speak in English all the time with my grandparents, so I had to get better. That was like one of the biggest obstacles.
So you landed, new vibes. Your sister and yourself lived in Hyderabad, is it? Or Delhi?
Yeah.
Okay, Hyderabad. So I was like living with grandparents.
Interesting. I've never actually lived with grandparents before that time. It was fun, like because I mean obviously like grandparents, bro, they love you to death, but they're also like picky. And when I say picky, I mean I say with love. I love I love my grandma. They just like they like you doing things in a certain way. They want you to look a certain way. They want you to act a certain way. It's just all traditional, right? I mean, I enjoyed it because I haven't seen like both my grandparents from my either like my mom's side or my dad's side, and my like when I was in U.S. like my dad's side grandfather passed away, but I came back to visit back then too, and then it was a little weird, it was a little different, but after I came back, yeah, my Alma's family is just they're more traditional in a sense, so it was like a weird dynamic, you know, in terms of like just like the traditions they follow and how you're supposed to treat your elders. You can't be too jovial with my grandparents. I think well my tate was like that. I mean he was like he was all about discipline. It was all about discipline. But he and oh boy did they lecture you. Like to nail. So you just gotta you're a completely different person outside your home than you are inside your home. I don't know if you guys ever feel that way, if you guys have anything to say like about that. But as soon as you get home, like everything stops. You have to put up like this different personality and then act in front of your grandparents. It's a little dramatic sometimes.
Definitely, man. It's hard to imagine where and how our parents actually grew up because like we don't know how they were treated, how their parents raised them. My tate was, from the army, and my mama is so particular on how she raises me. She's like, before you just go to school, you have to like put coconut oil. You have to, comb your hair in a certain way. You should have the property and everything, and have to eat at least 5 leaves. And she makes sure she cooks home food for school. And yeah, and she would tell my mom like, hey, make sure he's studying well. So yeah, I definitely get those vibes.
Absolutely. Coconut oil రుద్దుకున్నావా? That's the one thing I didn't do, man. My hair was terrible back at school. It was all over the place. I had really curly hair.
I think one of the biggest things that you brought up is when అంటే మనం ఇంట్లో ఒకలా ఉంటాం అండ్ దెన్ స్కూల్లో ఒకలా ఉంటాం బికాస్ అది ఎన్వైరన్మెంట్ కదా.
Yeah.
Like చాలా మంది డిఫరెంట్ ఫ్రెండ్స్ ఉంటారు, like we have friends from different areas.
That's
And they come from different cultural backgrounds or traditions, right? So that's why we tend to have changes when we're inside our home. We're like a completely different person. So I think that's a very relatable thing that you said. But when you first came to, I know you were very young when you went back to India, when you started to kind of grow and understand like the differences between, okay, this is my life right now and this was my life before, what did you miss most about America? Was it the friends? Was it just the activities, the environment?
That's a great question. I think the thing I missed about most was like I had a lot of friends I could relate to. I mean, just going back to India, there's a completely different culture there, right? So all the things that you were like really interested in once back in America, those aren't the same things the kids in India are interested in, right? That cultural difference was a big thing to like try to connect with others. I felt personally, yeah. I mean, like saying back to again, like the friends
Yeah.
for sure. And a big part of like my life was like I loved like playing sports, and in Hyderabad, I mean, it's not saying that you can't play sports. It's just like if you are playing sports, the way they play there is like you're not just playing like like recreationally. You're playing because you want to like compete. So it's just a completely different mindset. Like if you wanted to play like if you wanted to play like a sport, like say basketball or something, you have to join an academy. And an academy, it's like it's all about drills. It's all about trying to get better, and they make you run a lot. But I mean, in my mind, I was like, I just want to like play recreational. I mean, I want to go to a park and have some friends to play with. And it wasn't that easy for me because everyone in India loves cricket. That was one thing I sort of like got into afterwards. My cousin, he's a year younger than I am, and I hate to admit it, but he's actually way more athletic than I am. Since he was younger than me, like I felt like I had to be better with him. So then me and my cousin would always compete with each other, cricket, and I mean, in other sports and stuff like that. There was a small period where I was a little better than him, but then he grew up. He grew, and he definitely passed me. I missed like the sports. I missed hanging out with friends. Vishal, you still came back with me to India, man.
Dude, honestly, I don't know what happened, man. Like I was getting to know you. We were really good friends, best friends. And then all of a sudden I get the news that I'm moving to Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, you moved a lot too when you were young.
Yeah. It's just because wherever my dad got a job, that was like the main reason. And once I was moving, I was like, damn, like I'm gonna miss all the friends here. And then I even came back that summer. I got to spend a little bit of time with you. I think that was like the last time I saw you. And then when I was hearing the news that I was coming back to California, by then you already moved to India. Like,
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard about
yeah,
that. Oh man, you gotta get me.
I think it's easier to connect now than before, though, because before we didn't really have those video calls or texts. Like that was not really a thing back then.
Yeah, exactly.
So
And I guess I mean we were able to like connect in one thing. You got me hooked on some online MMORPG game. I forgot what it was called. I remember we played Club Penguin for a while. Um, that was just a little bit.
Major
I don't know if you were.
flashbacks, man.
Did you ever play RuneScape?
RuneScape, no, I played RuneScape when I was a kid. After that, I don't think I played it, but I think it was like a stick RPG.
Oh yeah.
I think it was a drastic change for you from moving to a completely different country.
Yeah.
Imagine PUBG existed back then. Vishal can play from US and Nishad.
I just turned into a gamer. I'd be like, I wouldn't go out anymore. I got out of the house, and so like my first school, I went to a school called DPS, Delhi Public School. That was a good. I mean, I liked my time at that school. I mean, I met like a lot of people from like around the area, so I knew like, oh, it's like there's a guy that lives like right next to my house. I could like hang out with him. So as soon as like I got into school, I started to make a lot more friends. But it was just it was a little tiny period where as soon as I joined school, I was kind of like a shiny new toy to everyone, because not everyone comes in from America and just like randomly just joins school in India, right? I mean, there's a lot of different schools, and the one I went to, like, yes, there are a lot of NRIs that go to that school, but just drop me in the middle of a classroom, and everyone would just like stare at me. Like, what if I ever talk things? I would sound completely different from everyone else. And I guess if I really wanted to, I could like really force out an Indian accent, but like I had to like change the way I talk to be in more tone with everyone else, because I don't know, the American accents. I guess people they just like mock you a little bit because it's a little funny, right? Because they say things a little different. You're like, what? It's not party. It's 40. It's 40. I got into like a couple of things with like couple, like friends like that. And it was just really funny. We just talked today like about some random things. It's not 44, it's 44. So it was good. It was good. in terms of like another drastic change was that like uniforms, because I never had to wear a uniform. Like I know some like prep schools here have uniforms. I don't know if you guys ever had to wear a uniform, but you have to keep it in tip top shape. You have to make sure your clothes are ironed. And I switched schools after 10th grade. I went to this place called Fiji, and ever since then I had to wear a tie. I didn't know how to make it. I didn't know how to tie a tie back then. I probably should have learned a little earlier, but I didn't at that time. And I mean, over time, I learned. One funny story though, when I first got to school, I would have been joining 8th grade, I believe, at that time. So everyone above 5th class, so they say class there, they don't say grade. So everyone above 5th class would start to wear pants, right? All the guys wear pants, and everyone below that wears shorts. So I came into my first day of class, right, wearing shorts, and everyone else was wearing pants. Dude, I got ridiculed for so long because I wasn't able to like immediately change my uniform immediately. We couldn't go out that week for some reason. And I had to wait for till the next weekend to basically change my uniform. I had to tell my teacher that. But that one week, I just got so many laughs from like my classmates. I mean, it was all in good fun. Like, I mean, they're all great people, and it was just out of good fun. It wasn't anything like serious or anything. Surprisingly, like things are normally in all parts of India, but like bullying or any sorts of that, it wasn't really. It was just like the class moved like a big family. Like everyone else like knew each other. I'm guessing obviously like because uh, the schools were more like you start off from like kindergarten, like UKG, all the way up to like 10th class, 12th class. So you were probably gonna have the same classmates for all those 12 years. Whereas like, with schools here, it's like elementary school, and then a bunch of you guys branch out, and then you go to different middle schools, and then you branch out again, you go to different high schools. In that sense, it's a little different because you see the same people growing up all the time, so they all knew each other as like one big family. Everyone just felt very close to each other. So
I totally resonate with you, man. So here you are, you come to Hyderabad, DPS. What you went through is like a spotlight situation where, an indirect light shines on you and all everyone is doing is talking about you, right?
Mhm.
You're to US and kind of like that. And I felt the same way when I came from India to America. I actually went to Dilshuk Nagar Public School in Wanasthalapuram in Hyderabad.
Uh-huh.
And so I came from there to here, and I felt the same way, where you got a brown kid among other people, and same thing, oil hair, right? Collared shirts, and an actual like tied belt. And I would wear that, coming from that uniform background. Our parents didn't know, and so they're like, and then all my friends were like pretty loose. They would wear shorts and normal shirts and everything. So I felt a little different, and it was pretty difficult to ease in. But for you, how did going to India, what helped you ease in? Is it the friends? Is it just time?
Yeah, I definitely have to say it's the friends and just family helping me out, and they put me in a lot of like different things. So I played cricket for a while, and I met a lot of people like that. A lot of like different experiences, right? One like crazy thing that I mean not crazy things I just like really enjoyed back home in India was like the festivals. When like festival time came around, it'd be like be it Holi, be it like Diwali or Sankranti. Sankranti, oh my god, dude. I don't know if you guys have ever gone back to India for Sankranti. Crazy. Every like you look up like at any time like the day and you'll see a bunch of kites in the air just just like fighting. That culture is just like extremely fun to be around. So you start to like pick up on things like that, and you want to like learn, you want to be with like everyone else. So that was the first time when I like had to learn how to fly a kite. And not only as soon as you got your kite in the air, that's like it's a complete like war ground. It's a battlefield up there because like what everyone's trying to do is trying to cut your kite as soon as you're in the air. And it's damn funny because I have another cousin. The difference in our age is only like 4 days. So you can imagine, like we were like like brothers. We were so close. And so he was just teaching me how to fly a kite, and the the excitement after you cut someone's kite, because you know who they are because like you can see them on their balcony, so you just start yelling like you start like taunting them, you're yelling, and it's just completely funny. It just builds like a camaraderie. So yeah, that was like one of the things I absolutely enjoyed. But in terms of like how I like started to mold in or like fit in and start feeling things were normal being India, and like making India feel like a place for home for me was definitely like the friends, just hanging out with like all my friends and just doing things with them made us like there's a sense of like belonging, like yeah, like I belong here, like I'm just having fun with like my friends, we're going out, and yeah, just a lot of like different things, going to restaurants or stuff like that. We talk about eating paradise biryani, like let's go after school, let's like class bungo tell them pada. So yeah, it was a lot of that. It's like a bunch of like hooligan stuff.
I think
Yeah.
it's nice because, I mean, if you think about it, right? Like when you go to a new place, it doesn't even have to be a new country, right? Just going to a new place like college or whatever. You always feel like, like I don't know who I should talk to. But then once you start making friends, you're like, you look forward to meeting them again. Like, you want to hang out with them. You want to you want to do crazy things with them. Go
Absolutely.
outside. Yeah. So I think it's a nice thing that you were able to kind of finally adapt and get yourself into India and stuff. But how have your expectations of moving abroad compared to the reality of it? Did you like come? Did you think it was going to be like great, or did you think it was going to be terrible? And then what were the expectations and reality to it?
I mean, like going back, like you'd hear things, right? Like your parents be like, you should be glad you're studying here in America because like if you went back to India, things would be so bad for you. So I think my parents, ever since I was a kid, they put that like thing in my head where like school in India is much harder. And in terms of like difficulty wise, I feel like they're not that different. I mean, I guess the way you do study for exams and stuff like that are more different in India than compared to like in the US. There's a lot of hardcore studiers, and the way they study is like they straight up just like batti otis completely. So they mug up everything. So you ask them like, dude, do you know what this means? Like, can you explain this to me? And they're like, they just tell you exactly what's in the book. They'll just read line to line. With that mindset going forward, I was like a little cautious. And I was a little scared because in India, like this, the teachers hate you if you do something naughty or if you're acting bad. So that was also one thing I was scared of because, bro, I've never been like hit by a teacher ever in my life before like coming, right? So like after I came the first time, I got like hit for something stupid. I was absolutely like my fault, but it just like hits you so differently. You're like, oh my god, is this even legal? Like, is he allowed to touch me? But then it just happens occasionally, and then you start seeing it happen. But then your friends come to you, and then afterwards they either joke about it. We just make a lot of jokes about it after class, just like the way they hit you and stuff like that. Just thinking about it right now, man. I had like one friend, and I guess he forgot to bring his like textbook. We had a, I forgot the name of the teacher, but she was really strict, right? So then what you're supposed to do if you forget your textbook, you're supposed to stand like the entirety of the class. But then this one guy, I don't know, like I think the teacher hates his guts or something. Straight up. So see, like he said something like I didn't know we were supposed to get the book today, like you never told us. So this guy is a teacher just goes up to him and slaps him, and then just like slams his head. But the things we were talking about afterwards, like, अरे अभिनव निरीक्षण रहा टीचर basketball घटना to घटना. So like things like that, we just laugh about it afterwards, and
The way you said
it,
it went, oh my
it just
god.
becomes normal. Thinking about it now, man. Oh man.
So what naughty thing you did?
I forgot a textbook once, and I got hit. I got slapped straight across the face.
Did you wear shorts again?
No, no. That's just embarrassing for like your like because your classmates make fun of you for that. The teacher doesn't do anything because she knows like I just came, so she didn't do anything for that. But like if you forget textbooks or if you're not writing your notes properly, then yeah, then they'll they'll hit you. I was fairly, I'd say I was fairly good. I was fairly good student.
Was there a lot of pressure from your parents living in States or from your grandparents that, hey, Nishith has to study well?
Oh yeah.
Mana paru nilabatali.
Oh,
We don't
dude,
care if he's from US. He needs to work hard no matter what.
yeah, absolutely. I think one of the main things that kind of drove me like I have to study better was the fact that I had so many cousins. As soon as like the grandparents, they love to do this, dude. My grandparents love to do this. My mama, she'd tell us what she'd bring a book out to everyone and be like, ever the handwriting మంచిగా ఉంటుందో వాళ్ళకి చాక్లెట్ ఇప్పిస్తారు వాళ్ళకి 100 రూపీస్ ఇస్తాను. So so then bro it becomes full on competitive. Like I see like what can my cousin write? I'll write better than that. So we tried to like try to get our handwriting perfect and all that. And it was also like one big thing because in India like calligraphy is a real thing, like because majority of class is just writing notes, right? So you don't want your notes to look dirty. You don't want like you don't want a bad handwriting. And I mean I guess I wasn't like blessed with good handwriting, so that was one thing I had to learn. So, but in terms of like just having to like study better, having cousins and your like grandparents would just like compare you with your cousins. So you would have to like try your best. You would not want to be in second place, or you wouldn't want to be last, right? So that was like one big motivation. Competition's a great motivation. Studying became more of a serious thing. Like you had to do it. You had to keep up with class. You had to keep up with your notes. Yeah, that was one thing. That was one thing that really pushed me. But things are also like very different in India because like I was like, I mean, compared to like college and like I met like I have a bunch of college friends, right? And I was just telling them about like we were just sharing stories over New Year's, and we were telling about like how we used to have tutors, and tutors aren't like a normal thing in America because over here like it's damn expensive to get a tutor, but in India it's like 5,000 rupees, 6,000 rupees, 7,000, and it's much cheaper. And getting a tutor definitely did help me motivate because like they sit down with you and they make you study. So that was also one of the biggest things that helped me study better, getting a tutor.
They have so many test books just for calligraphy in the early days where you just there are dotted lines and you have to trace them out. Yeah, that was the whole year. I just did that, and that kind of improved my cursive handwriting. And yeah, parents are so smart into like making us do stuff. It's not usually you learn to learn, but you don't. The why here is to just beat the other person and not do it for the
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one big mentality over there, man. The competition is real. It's real. You have to study.
I never studied in India, so I don't really know. But I definitely know that there's like they teach you how to be very disciplined and go in the right like direction. So there's a lot of that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, now that you like kind of lived in different countries, right? Like so like you've been international before. Would it excite you if your like employer or like future career plans led you to a different country? Or would you be willing to go?
That is one hard question. My girlfriend talks about it a lot. She keeps on telling me like, let's go to Italy, let's go to Spain, let's go to Portugal. I'm hesitant about it. It's because I feel work life and like school life is completely different because school years are just so much more different compared to like after work because it's not the same way you're making friends. You're adults now. If going to a new culture, that's something. It'll be a little harder, like once you're adults, because adapting to that new environment wouldn't be the same. But I guess considering the fact that like I grew up like partly in India, partly in America. I'm actually really glad that I did that because you get to like see things from a completely different perspective. So when I came back like for college, I had a completely different perspective on things. Like I was like I was like more motivation, but like also like I had more love for like having like family and friends. That was just like completely different too. Yeah, I'm glad to have traveled and done stuff like that. But if considered now, I actually wouldn't mind actually because we're still young, right? Like what? We're 23. So yeah, I wouldn't mind if it's younger at a younger age. Yeah, I definitely love to travel.
So Nishit, before we wrap up our this round, move on to the next round, fun round. So you went to school in India, came back for your undergrad, which you went to an awesome school. I would have loved to go there. UNC.
It's not as great as it sounds.
Oh man. So you said the India experience gave you motivation to start a new education career here at the university. What did you miss from India? Did you miss a lot of your grandparents, of course, your friends? Did it felt a little lonely? Because once you think about India, you think about the gang of people you hung out with, the festivals, the culture, and you come here, it's like nothing happens on the streets, like dead.
Yeah, no. Well, it always felt like it was like around the same story. I was actually, but like my mindset, like going to America, I was more optimistic. But as soon as I got here and like college started, like things just hit me. Like going back to like when I went back to India, you actually notice like you have more in common with like a lot more people in India than compared to like you come here. Like the amount of like similarities you have with like people here. So that was just one thing, man. Because I didn't go back to America in like 5 years. So the first thing I come back to like I go to college. I'm in like my freshman year orientation, and it was like wow. Like in India, you're like so used to seeing so many brown people everywhere, and then you're all of a sudden like, oh, I see one brown guy. I see one guy there. Oh, that's it. There's just three of us right here. So it's just like completely wild because it's so different coming back here and like wow, like this lifestyle is just completely different. Like people here is like so diverse, and so that was like one thing I had to get adjusted to, which I did pretty like fairly quickly. And then I start to realize like, oh wow, people here is like very like talkative and it just I don't know if it's the same way. North Carolina is a lot more. They say southern hospitality is a big thing. So like just like in college, if I was in the elevator with someone, like someone would like randomly come up and talk to me. So like one of the things I came back and I really noticed again was like, wow, people here are like so polite. And but then again, it's like it's not that people in India aren't polite. I mean, like yeah, like sure you have your people that are not polite in India and stuff like that. But then the people who are like polite to you, they just they want good for you, right? Whereas like people here, like you meet them, they're like, oh, it's a friendly stranger, but it's just a stranger then. Like I don't know if that's feeling. It's not like you're really gonna strike up like a deep relationship then and there. So yeah, that's just one thing I just felt was like a little different.
Yeah, here it's more awkward to talk to our people than to say hi to a random stranger. So there's always that gap.
Yeah.
So usually towards the end of the podcast, we do some rapid fire questions. During quarantine, how are you spending your time? Did you learn anything new about yourself? Did you do any new activity? Just being at home, what did you do?
One thing coming back home, I did like have a lot of expectations for myself, but I probably hit that with like 20% accuracy. um, I did want to like go to the gym a little bit more, and I felt like I hit that pretty well. In terms of learning new skills, I wanted to learn how to play the guitar for a really long time. I bought a guitar. I I wouldn't say I learned it properly, but like things are a little better. Like I can play some things on the guitar.
Do you have it with you?
It's right here, but I don't think it's properly tuned. I could probably play
So
like a riff or something. But yeah, the guitar. I want to play a little bit more basketball after I came back. I don't know all the developers out there. They're like, oh, I got to get on that lead code grind. Only thing I did, I probably hit that with 1% accuracy. I only made an account. That's the only thing I did. Zero questions, but I made an account. I did want to get back into playing video games more, and I felt like I've overdone that. I did that with 110% accuracy.
Among Us all
Among
day.
Us, oh god, yeah. I love playing that game. It's such a great game. It really brings you closer. Because well, like one of the things is like in high school, like 11th and 12th, I was a part of like this program where like everyone in that program is trying to get it into universities in the United States. So I had a lot of friends that are scattered around the US, but they all just went to different universities. So like when Among Us came out, like I felt like we got much closer because we played that game quite often. Like we had a phase where we played that quite often. Phase is dying now, so we'll probably have to find a different game.
What do you do occasionally that keeps you close to the Telugu culture? అంటే సినిమాలు చూస్తావా, కర్రీలు చేస్తావా, తెలుగు మాట్లాడతావా, పూజకి వెళ్తావా, టెంపుల్ అలాంటివి?
Biggest ante, I think it's definitely like parents తో రోజు మాట్లాడడం, తెలుగులో మాట్లాడడం అలవాటు అయిపోయింది. Because చిన్నప్పుడు I realized my mom would speak to me in Telugu, but I always respond in English, right? But then growing up in India, that completely is like it flipped full 180. Not that my mom's speaking to me in English and I'm responding in Telugu, but like if my mom ever asks me something in Telugu, I always respond in Telugu. I wouldn't say anything in English because it's just a little weird now. Because that's one thing that also changes. That changed a lot because I would always respond to my mom in English, even at home when I was in America, like when I was a kid. But now, like I'm back home and my mom would ask me something, be like, like, hindi ko chitintawa, like, ah, almost like 5 minutes ago. So I'd always like just respond in English now.
Okay. And what keeps you going? Like, what keeps you out of your bed and doing things?
Kobe.
Yeah, Kobe, mama mentality. You guys can see that. The poster I have right there. Gets me going out of bed. I tell myself I have to wake up in the morning and then hit the gym and just waking up. Ever since I was a kid, it was a thing. I always woke up early, and it just makes me feel a lot more fresh than just staying in bed. I'd say just going out to the gym or like doing something active first thing in the morning is something that really helps me get out and be fresh in the morning.
Is there something you really wanted to do but haven't done so yet?
Really wanted to do and haven't done so yet.
Travel abroad with Vishal.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I wanted to go to Greece. I mean, there's a lot of things I want to do. I want to go like skydiving, stuff like that. One thing I really want to do the most that I haven't got a chance to do, I'd probably say skydiving is on my bucket list right now. One thing I really want to do.
We can do that if we meet, because I'm
Yeah, I know. When you telling me about it, you're like, there's
Yeah.
like this place you can take me to.
Yeah, there's quite a few places in California we can go to.
Yeah.
Obviously after COVID and when the stuff
Yeah,
stops,
yeah.
we could be. But yeah, dude, I'd love to. I haven't gone skydiving, and I'm sure I'll just drag Sai.
Yeah, the Sai has to come. I'm getting strapped this time. We'll jump together.
I just want to have that satisfaction, you know, just to like push someone off the thing. If they're scared, nothing will happen if they have a safety, but I'm safe.
Yeah.
And last question: is there someone that inspires you?
As I said, like I'm a big Kobe guy. I used to be a huge Kobe guy. I still am. There's a lot of inspirational stuff I can get I got from Kobe Bryant, the Mamba mentality, obviously, and just like to work harder. But like whenever I'm like feeling down, just tell myself like you have to work harder and you have to like be better. Each day is all about like being the best version of yourself. So yeah, back to Kobe Bryant again. Very inspirational guy in his final years. So yeah.
I don't think there was no explanation needed. Kobe was is enough, right?
Go.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, no introduction needed to his name. And what a great note to end on, right? He was always all about owning the game, being the best at it, and that competition mindset. So yeah, Nishit, thank you so much for hopping on.
Thanks for having me on.
Definitely, man. We got, it was always cool to learn other people's journeys, and you going back to India kind of opened our eyes and might help other people who go back to India for further education. I know people are doing that for medical careers,
Right.
and it might be hard for them. Not everyone will have an emotional support, and not everyone is good at making friends. It's just how they are. But I think listening to your podcast might, help give that courage. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for having me on and letting me tell my story.
I think it was
Yeah.
an awesome podcast because, like, one, going to a different country itself is like very serious, but you had some good moments. You talked about some funny moments that you had, and I think it's just one of those things where if things happen, you just laugh it off and go to the next day. I think that's a good mentality to have. So I'm sure listeners will feel that as a really positive thing to have. But thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, man. We should play tennis again when I'm back, if I'm ever back in LA, or if you guys come back to NC.
I don't want to lose, man. I'm just gonna sit on the side.
No, I'm not that good.
I think next time I see you, I'll be in more shape, so our games will be better. But yeah, dude, thanks for hopping on, and to all the Telugu Saga listeners, thank you for your support. We have been expanding our Instagram, getting views. So I appreciate everyone who is subscribing to us. So if you haven't already, kindana subscribe button kindana ganta button nokkani please. So all right, guys. Well, hope you had a great podcast. See you all later.